Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, we have two outstanding people here going to talk about a topic that people kind of shy away from talking about, and that's the funeral home business. These are two people that you should know. We have, to my immediate left is Julene Tolar. She's the managing director of Tolars Westgate Funerals, and that's and we have to her left Mr. Eric Tolar, licensed funeral director and embalmer. Matter of fact, he's licensed rather in Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin.
That's correct.
Greetings, folks.
Greetings.
We're very happy that you have taken time literally from your busy schedule to travel to Waukegan to let our listening audience know about the funeral home business, because Lake County is approximately 750,000 people. The Comcast listening audience is approximately 100,000, but our viewing audience is from not only Lake County, but Wisconsin and also Chicago. And if you haven't been known all over the world, you will be when we finish this program, because you can go online and watch it at drbrooks.tv. You probably have visited it already, right? Okay. All right, let's start off here. We'll start with ladies first. Julene, we'll start with you. Tell our listening audience a little bit about your personal and professional background.
Okay, let's see. So I'm just transitioning into mortuary science. I'm currently studying that in Indiana.
Okay.
I have actually been in the healthcare field for about 20 years. So started off as a phlebotomist and then moved into nursing, where I've been a licensed practical nurse now for approximately 9 years.
Okay.
So I just have a passion for caring for people. Marrying Eric kind of made me see that you can help not only in healthcare, but it's other families out there that can actually, that needs help as well, as far as grieving and loss of people.
Fantastic. Eric, we're going to give you the same opportunity that I gave Julene. Tell our listening audience a little bit about Eric. Who is Eric Tolar?
Real briefly, a man of God, husband, loving father, licensed funeral director in 3 states, and just hardworking. I have a very diverse background, from warehouse to retail to, of course, the funeral industry. So just been doing this the last, many years. Seems like I would be telling my age, but I graduated from mortuary science school in 2004. So it's been quite an experience, and I definitely enjoy and love what I do and helping families through a very difficult time in their life.
As I mentioned, we have a listening audience of Comcast, listening audience of about 100,000 people. But for those that may be interested in going into the mortuary science profession, first of all, what piqued your interest in getting into the field?
Well, initially I wasn't interested. I grew up in a funeral home and saw my parents running around and stressing out about getting, everything done. I was just like, maybe not. Let me see what else is out there. So when I graduated from Lake Forest College, finished undergrad with my bachelor's in business, I got a job at Bank One. It was Bank One at the time. It was a management trainee program. And it was extremely boring to me. So at that point is when I started to ask Mom, what do I need to do to go to mortuary science school? What are they looking for? How do you like it? And that's when I became more interested and just jumped into school the following month, and just kind of held on to it ever since then. So as far as requirements to go to school, first most programs, they look at, they want you to have some type of prerequisite, some general education courses underneath your belt, about a year or so worth of college. the different programs vary though, and in my particular program that I went to at Worsham College of Mortuary Science was more accelerated, so it's 12 months nonstop, full-time, and then you're able to do your apprenticeship for a year at a funeral home, and then pass the board exam at that point, and you'll be fully licensed. Some programs are a little longer, some are 2 years, some are even 4 year. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for, your geographic location, how far you're willing to travel for school, how much you're willing to pay, and honestly, how bad do you want it? So.
Well, I could see from listening to you, both of you have requirements that may be necessary. Jolene is in the healthcare field, and you have a business background and so forth. So both of those are actually criteria needed in the field, right?
Absolutely.
But what about some specific courses like science maybe, and some other courses that you may need?
Definitely, they're heavy on science. Of course, you have to know the human body, the anatomy inside and out. You know, in school, you know, one of our regular quizzes and tests, it's about naming the different bones, knowing every bone in the body, knowing all the different arteries and veins and different things, and being able to locate them on actual cadavers. So it's not exactly easy, and that goes back to my point of how bad do you want it? Are you willing to study and learn every bit of the human anatomy so you can reach your goal? Chemistry is another one they're heavy on, but also your business ethics, your funeral directing classes, because it's more than just the anatomy and knowing how to do the embalming process. It's also about sitting, talking, meeting with families, and knowing what they're going through at this point in their lives.
You know, that's a great point you mentioned about talking with families. And of course, you have to have a really knowledge of working with families, right? Especially in the time of need.
All right, you have to be a people person, and that's one thing early on I wasn't so much of. Julian is more of a people person, but I do, we work great together, and honestly, sometimes I sit back and take note and see what kind of pointers I can pick up from her.
What about Jolene? What about the advantage of a family-owned business? The advantages.
It's definitely have its advantages. Since Eric has already kind of seen the ins and outs from my mother-in-law, who's the founder of Westgate, he already kind of knew a lot of which direction to go. But then by him having a business background, he knows how to implement all these new things as far as marketing and things, which we're really
just excited about.
Yeah, we're taking off with a lot of marketing right now.
And another one is passion for people too. You
Very
seem to
true.
have. I listed all these criteria that you mentioned, but passion is what I had
Yes,
mentioned,
you
and
have
you have to have
that.
a passion.
Absolutely, you do. I mean, honestly, it just my motto is just treat people the way you want to be treated, and put into the world what you want to give, what you want to get back.
Okay.
So that's my passion, to serve people in any area. Like I said, from nursing and now to funeral side.
And then to piggyback on that, when you do what you love
to do.
and have a passion for it, it doesn't feel like a job where it's like, oh, I have to get up and talk to this family today. You know, it's not like that. You enjoy just helping them through and bringing a smile to their face.
Yes.
In other words, I've been in this business that I love since 1990. Now, you know, I have to have a passion.
Right, exactly.
Just saying there, but I had no idea when I left high school, you know, that I wanted to do this, and didn't find out until I really retired from my regular profession when I started this. So you never know. But the advantage of working with people, though, you find, tell us about the different type of people that you work. Mainly, they're in distress, and they need special type of counseling too.
Everyone is a little different. Everyone handles the grieving process differently, and death in general. So you get your more emotional families that's they're really distraught, and they may need a day or two before they're ready to even come in and talk about everything. Then you have some on the other end of the spectrum where they're all right. They've prepared, they grieve differently, and you can't tell that they're making funeral arrangements for a loved one. Although they love that individual, they prepared themselves and they're just handling it at a different pace. And it may be behind closed doors. You just never know. They're not always showing it. So there's a wide spectrum, and you have some that it's just hard to deal with because it's hard on them. So there's a lot of emotional dumping, and they may act out or act differently, but you can't take it personal. Although it can be hard though, but you can't take it personal, and you know, sometimes they'll come back and apologize and different things like that after it's all said and done. But that's where the passion comes in at. You don't snap back at them, you don't cuss them out and kick them out. You know, you deal with it because you know what's going on. You know what they're going through. It's just having the patience to see it all the way through.
Do you find many your clients, I'll say clients, come in that are not financially ready for the services that you offer?
Yeah, yes and no. You know, it's a healthy mix, but it seems like the trend in the Black community is more of being not prepared, and that's why we took steps to do our part, because we were trying to figure out, why aren't more Black people prepared? Why aren't we talking about this? Why aren't we getting insurance? And so we were like, well, let's get licensed to sell life insurance, a good product, not just anything, not any garbage. And then let's educate the community. That's the least we can do. Instead of fussing about it, talking about it, complaining about it, let's do something about it.
There's another area you mentioned about preparing. Insurance is another big area that most morticians or people in mortuary science get involved with insurance.
Not everyone. It just really depends on the individual. I mean, it's not every funeral director you will come in contact with will have an insurance license. It is starting to be more popular. I believe it's one of the best things that a funeral director can do, because you are talking to the families, and like Eric was saying, this is our opportunity to educate them at the same time.
Another thing too, do you have relationships with, let's see, what we call them? I shouldn't say grave diggers, but what was the professional title?
The cemetery groundsmen and things like that.
You have a relationship with the cemetery owners?
Right. We do have a couple of cemeteries that we have I don't want to say I don't want to make it seem like we only have a good relationship with a couple, but we do have some that we favor because their prices are right for our customers. They keep up their grounds and everything, and it's just a nice place, you know. So when families if they don't have their mind up, then we happily recommend, one or two of those other cemeteries that we believe would be a good fit. So.
This is an educational experience then, this program, because people think there's a one-stop shop, but there's the mortuary stop, and then there's the cemetery stop.
Right.
So there's two different people that they have to deal with.
Well, with some of our families, when they don't want to deal with the cemetery, I mean, we let them know that it is two completely different entities, but they can still kind of order everything through us, and we kind of take the lead on everything. They just pretty much let us know if there is a loved one in the cemetery that they want to be buried next to, so we can actually help coordinate that as well.
But at the same time, they would still need to go down to the cemetery, sign necessary paperwork and stuff, and finish off those arrangements there. And those prices are totally separate from ours. Like Julie mentioned, it's a separate entity, so we have no control over that.
And there's insurance that you can, you have your ownership for plot of land too for the family.
They do have that, yeah.
So it's quite, and in preparing for different topics for the community forum, one crossed my mind, that especially when my mother passed, what I went through with, dealing with two different entities, and this type of thing. And to find out that I got insurance for her, it was a lot easier.
Yes.
Much easier when I had the insurance. We just went straight through it, no problem at all.
Right. So it's never really an easy process, but like you just mentioned, it's easier when you don't have that financial burden and that extra stress of how I'm gonna bury my mother. Maybe I need to raise money. Maybe I can't bury her. Maybe I just need to have a direct cremation because that's all I can afford. It gets tough on people. It gets tough.
Well, Jolene, you're in the healthcare field. Do you feel that there's a great advantage, your healthcare background, and because you're training to be a
funeral director.
To be a funeral director, right? So you'll be going to Worsham.
Actually, right now I'm at Ivy Tech. I can't do full time, and that's where Worsham's program is because I have the kids as well. So, and they're still trying to run the business. So it's a lot. So I am doing part time in Indiana. But it is an advantage, me being from a medical background, just the compassion, just you learn those things, and then also it's instilled in you when you want to go into that type of profession, but also the anatomy of the body. By me already being familiar with that, it makes the things easier.
And you said that the length of time was about a year, is that?
Right. Your program?
My program is 2 years because it's part-time. Eric's program was 1 because he was full-time at Worsham.
Okay. Tell me about the different types of burials. I know there's a regular burial, and I notice you got cremation. People may want to have a mausoleum, right? Mausoleum, I get the right.
Right. So you have your cremations. You can actually have a burial for your cremains if you want. They do also green burials now, where they use everything is eco-friendly, and I believe I don't have much experience with those, but I believe like you had an option of having a tree planted over you and different things like that. So the options have widened over the years, so it's pretty interesting. But cremations and burials and entombments and the mausoleums and different things, that's pretty much the most common.
But people have to remember, and they probably haven't thought about this though, no matter what type of burial that you have, it's dust to dust, right? Either a regular burial, the worms are gonna take over, or you have a mausoleum, your body gonna degenerate, right?
Pretty much. I mean, the embalming process
It slows it.
Yeah, it slows it, but we don't embalm to preserve for centuries like the ancient Egyptians and things like that. That's not the point or the main goal of the embalming process. One, we want to disinfect so we can have the public viewing and service. You want to preserve for the simple fact of when you do have your service, you don't want a body that's halfway decomposed or all the way decomposed, so you need to preserve for that. So.
And also, this is the last time that you're going to see this loved one, so it's important. And I mean, that's where we get so much just when families tell us, "Wow, she looks great." That just gives us so much happiness because we know that we're doing the right thing for the families.
This is fantastic. Well, so you might let us know, what are your professional goals? First of all, I mentioned costly too. Funerals costly. You see advertised on TV about the costs, and it runs up to what? Could $8,000 to $10,000
or higher.
Yeah.
And that's through the importance of having insurance, right?
Right, and that's just a funeral. That doesn't include your cemetery cost or anything. So that's just a funeral. So Right. Even if you're not doing insurance, then you should be doing something. Maybe saving and having it in the bank, because this event is going to happen. No one dodges death.
Okay.
You know, you may have a moment where it was a close call, but ultimately, it's coming.
Right.
And
right.
something else that we've been implementing, I mean, of course, we want our families to have insurance. That is the best way. But with our new website, we are also offering financing. So if they don't have insurance, they actually can finance the funeral.
I'd like to let our listening audience know that I guess there are 3 different types of people in the world. I tell you what, there's for Jerlene's information, there are people that make things happen, and there are people that watch things happen, and there are those that wonder what's happening. And the 2 of you seem like people that make things happen, right? And this is what you have to do if you want to exceed. You have to make things happen, right?
Right.
That's very true.
That's correct. So, like, it goes back to the life insurance and educating our families. We would like everyone to have insurance,
Yeah.
but that's not the case right now. So, next best thing we can do is go out and educate them and help them to make the right decision. So, you know, it really becomes a win-win for everybody. It's easier at the arrangement table, and then they can fulfill their loved ones' final wishes, because that's another portion of it. We touched on the stressing and not being able to have the money, and you're trying to grieve at the same time, but there's also that guilt, because now it's like, oh, I had to cremate my brother, and he really didn't want to be cremated. He said do anything but that, but that's all I could afford. So guilt-wise, that can weigh heavy on someone, you know.
In Chicago, you have youngsters being shot, killed. The parents probably never thought about having insurance for them, right? What happens to these youngsters that get killed? There's hundreds of them during the year.
Sometimes the grandparents may have a little insurance, you know, because that generation was more keen on being prepared and having insurance. A lot of times, GoFundMe, they do what they do is crowdfunding, where they make a little post online and try and get everybody to chip in for the funeral, $50, $100 here and there, until they reach their goal of the amount they're trying to raise, which may be $5,000, $7,000. But in my experience, a lot of times they never reach that goal, because you have a week or 2 to try and reach that goal, and you know, you may not be the only one going through a hard time. So people
Are those bodies then just held by Cook County until they?
Well, once they get to the funeral home, and you know, the finance part of it is brought up and the arrangements are made. Typically, they may be held at the funeral home for a week or 2 until something is arranged, whether that be a payment plan or they raise the money. So.
Wow. Do you guys have any time for leisure time activities?
Yes.
We are busy, but we make time. You have to.
If you don't make time, you never have time. Yes. So we work very hard, and we try, and even if it's an hour, you know, at the end of the day, or an hour at the end of the week, make time for ourselves, but at the same time, we're very family orientated, so we make time for the family also.
Because you're 24-hour call, right?
We are.
And sometimes we're up working, and the kids don't even know we're up working, or you know, let them know we're being shortly, and we get another call, and we have to postpone coming home, and you know, work it out with babysitters or the oldest or watch the younger type thing. But it all works out. They understand, and it's a family business in the sense that the kids are involved and supportive also.
How has the electronic age affected the business? Because you know, it's not it's not like my My son get on me all the time. I'm still with the paperback, you know. But it's more than just a paperback, right?
Right. So the technology has advanced the speed of how you receive information, what you receive, what you're looking for. So no longer are people really going door to door to get their information. They're calling and chatting, emailing, doing everything with the businesses online. And that's, you know, some of the changes that we're subtly making within our own business, kind of bringing it up more to speed, where you can even live chat on our website. If you have a question and you're visiting our website, tolarwestgate.com, you can type that question and we'll have someone answer it for you right then and there. So little things like that, where it may not seem huge, but in the eyes of the consumer, when everything is the microwave generation, you want it right now, then it's huge, you know. So, and being able to compare products without having to physically walk into the casket showroom, but being able to compare them online, that saves time, you know, and gas money. So consumers, it's easier for consumers these days, and if you're a business owner and you've progressed and brought your business up to speed, it's easier for you too.
You mentioned another costly item, or is it costly? The casket. Is that a costly item? Or how much time do you go through with people settling on a casket?
You know, I want to say casket may take the most time.
Yeah, depending on that family.
Yeah.
It could be easy or it could be drawn out, but and they range from, our lowest casket is $750, but they go well over $10,000, just depending on the material, how custom you want it, the size of it, you know, so it just varies.
Does people have a choice of course, they probably in distress about going to a casket company? Would it be cheaper to do that than going through the...
We occasionally get that question, and we don't try and dictate where people do their shopping and things.
Because they don't have time to...
Right, you know, so it's just one
that.
extra thing on their plate. So when you go back to, like you said, the one-stop shop, it's just easier. But we do let people know that if you feel that obligated or you know a place, we'll price match. If it's a comparable casket, we'll price match it just to make it easier. Our whole standpoint is, I don't know that particular casket company. I can't stand behind what type of quality you're going to receive, you know, because that's the last thing I would want is to get a casket a day or two before the service and may have some dents or some scratches or not up to par. Now we don't have time to swap it out and take it back and, you know, all that other stuff. So we just try and keep it in-house if possible.
You mentioned about your license in 3 states, right? Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. How do you manage? What type of staff that you have?
Oh boy!
Right, Julene, she does a lot of. Well, it's really a team, but she keeps me. How can I put it? Organized, my time management, my focus, because sometimes I can. You know, something else comes up and I'm on to the next item, and she's like, wait, what about this one? You can't forget this one, or do you have enough time to do this too? So it's a lot of juggling, and it's not just me juggling, she juggles for me also. So when I say a dynamic duo, not to brag or anything, but it really takes 2 people.
Like it is.
Right. It takes 2 on the same page working
does.
hard to make it happen. Otherwise, you just drop all the balls and, you know, nothing follows through.
Great. What about the communities that you represent? Are you active in the community? Do people know who you are? And
some do, and that's one of the things that we're changing.
Yes, definitely.
We want the funeral home to be known to give back also. It shouldn't be the only time you see us is when you're attending a funeral. You know, you should be able to see us in the community giving back, because that's just the cycle of things, you know, give and take. And August 12th?
Yes.
August 12th, we're planning school supply.
And back to school.
Yep.
A back to school drive will be giving out book bags to children and small school supplies as well.
In the Waukegan area,
In
so we'll be
Waukegan
holding that at the
area.
funeral home. And we're working on some other events. The next one, we still haven't gotten the dates narrowed down yet. We're going to, or chosen a nursing home yet, but you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, so I have 2 young girls. We have 4, 2 boys, 2 girls.
Okay.
So something that I want to make sure that our children understand is giving back. So we would like to go to the local nursing homes, and I'll have the girls and I love the elderly. So we're going to paint nails. So we're going to have our pretty painting day with the ladies and just kind of letting them know who Tolar Westgate, who we are and what we're trying to do, and just giving back, just even if it's just time, and then also educating them as well.
But over the last few months, we've done a couple of things. Small scholarship to some of the students at North Chicago High School. Small speaking event for the North Chicago boys basketball team 2 to 3 months ago. So just trying to squeeze it in here and there, not too focused on ourselves and never feeling like, oh, we've reached a certain size, we don't need to make room for community events. So that's one thing that we want to keep going periodically, and definitely keep everyone updated on our events on our website. So.
You mentioned role models in your life. I guess your mom is your role model, right?
I've
film
had
business.
mom to look up to as far as just how to excel in the business. She started Westgate back in 1990, so that's a long time, in the black community to run a business. Most businesses are failing within that 2-year mark, and then you have your second round of failures prior to your 5-year mark. So to reach 30 years is quite an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
Well, what are some of your professional goals?
Some of mine, mine is pretty much to leave a legacy of, of course, the business, Tolar Westgate Funerals, but also to show my family and my community, teach them about giving back, teach them about being leaders. And it's not all about having a title, because you can lead in so many ways. You can lead without even opening your mouth, and that's leading by example.
Yeah.
So some of those, just to keep them well-rounded in today's world, because it can be rough out there without guidance or leadership.
What about females in the mortuary business? Do you have a lot of females?
Actually, the business has really changed. It used to be predominantly male, but now it's predominantly females.
Okay.
So it's a lot.
I think this is happening all
It's
over,
happening.
I was interviewing some attorneys, and the attorney used to be male dominated, and now you have more females in school, law school, than you have males now too,
That's true.
And the females, they typically relate more emotionally and, can just kind of reach the families a little better. Not to say that males can't, because we've been doing it for years, and that's why I don't mind taking a step back and watching and learning as she interacts with families and different things like that.
Fantastic. So actually, you're interested in bettering yourself, but bettering your community and bettering your family. And is it your goal to try to get your children interested in mortuary science?
I believe it all fall in place. I'm not pushing it. I believe, we have 2 interested already.
Yes, our oldest and the youngest. So our oldest is currently a sophomore in college. So she'll finish with her business degree, and then
a decision will be made.
well, she wants to do what her papa does. So she definitely says she's going to mortuary science school. And then our youngest, he's 7. He's just like, yes, I'm going to be a funeral director. Like, he just loves everything about it. I guess it's just to see Daddy in the suits and things of that sort. The middle 2, I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
but it's what they choose.
Yeah, the opportunity presents itself. It's up to them. You're providing an opportunity for
Yes.
them. This is fantastic. Okay, and both of you seem to be very inspirational. So you're passionate, you're inspiration. So you have what it takes, to succeed. Well, see, born to succeed, this type of thing, And actually, as a family leader, you either let your family know you're either going through a storm, you're coming out of a storm, you're in a storm, right? This is life.
Right.
That's true.
Life, and everything is not going to be perfect. What about financing? No, I know we went through SBA, Small Business Administration, to get started, though. So actually, you didn't have that problem because you had the family business.
Well,
right?
yes and no. So, that's what a lot of people assume, but it's different ways to do it. Of course, if you have, the cash on hand, you can buy up a business. Whatever you want.
Right.
That's good. That's a blessing also.
That's an option.
But some, just like let's say real estate, how you can sell or finance a business. There's businesses or business owners that are willing to do that. And then you have, your traditional route when you go get a commercial loan, put down a down payment and things, and buy the seller out that way. And a lot of times, the seller, that's what they prefer because they get their lump sum, they get the bulk of their money up front, so they can go retire and do what they need to do. So we kind of took a blend of those last two options and made it work to where it's a win-win for both parties. So so mom can retire and she's on a part-time basis and stuff like that. She doesn't have to worry about working full-time, and it's allowed us to be new business owners. We are about 45 days in or so. So it's just been going pretty well and exciting, and just taking it one day at a time.
I mentioned about in the city of Chicago, I guess there's the competition for funeral homes. There's so many funeral homes in Chicago. I never read about any of them failing. I guess you got so many opportunities there with the shootings and this type of thing.
Right. There's a lot of people in Chicago, which means there's a lot of people dying of natural and unnatural causes. And there are a lot of funeral homes to, kind of cater to that need or demand. But, I like to think of it as what's for you is going to be for you. God has mapped it out, and He has everything in place. And, if you have a funeral home on a busy strip, with other funeral directors up and down there within a mile or two, then you'll be around as long as God see fit, and as long as you continue to push and, just kind of walk in His likeness. So.
Yes, great.
Yeah, the funeral home business is a really profession, just like any other business. And it's up to you to, make continue at that progressive. Tell us about the healthcare business. What actually aspect are you in the healthcare business?
So I started as a phlebotomist, so that's when you just pretty much you're drawing blood, doing AKGs, which has kind of changed into a medical assistant, and then from there I did get my nursing degree. So I did home health. I worked at the VA for a little while.
Okay.
So kind of a little bit of everything.
You mentioned about phlebotomist. My wife's retired. Well, no, she didn't retire. I'm sorry. She trained as a medical technician and medical technologist at Northwestern.
Okay.
And she went into the daycare business. Not that she loved the healthcare field, right? But then she found out that she could be better utilized as a daycare provider and daycare owner.
Nice.
Also a group home for girls. And
That's awesome.
And this is what she, I guess, retired as.
Okay.
But I was wondering about what would encourage anyone to go into to be a mortician? I never thought about being a mortician. I thought about on the show that there may be others that may be interested, and I better do something and make sure the opportunity is there, you know, to talk to professionals about it.
A lot of people don't think about it
Right.
until maybe they're at a
Okay.
funeral and something catches their eye about that particular funeral home or funeral director.
Okay.
Some go to school, give it a try, and they're halfway through the school year, and they're like, you know what, I can't do this. What was I thinking? And they drop out. You know?
Okay. Oh, just like any other business or any other field, you know, everyone is not cut out for it. Yeah.
No, not at all.
Like I'm sure.
Same
you
for
have some-
nursing as well. Yeah, you know, it's just a lot of people just to have that body in front of you. You know, especially when you're working with the cadavers. That's when you really know. That's when you're gonna see which ones are going to move forward and which ones like this is not for me, because it's a lot.
Right. Yeah, my granddaughter just graduated from Howard University last year in nursing,
Okay.
and she's at Northwestern now with second highest in her class. You know, and she loves it there.
That's great.
I don't know what she actually does, but she's in surgery.
Okay.
Wow.
So she has a very high demanding job.
Yeah, so she loves it. So she's. And I asked her when was they going to move her to another area, but she said she loves what she's doing. So
That's good. That's good.
and that's what it's all about there.
Yeah, pretty much at the end of the day, the mortuary science, the funeral directing and embalming, at the end of the day, it's all funeral service. So and you break that down even more, or not break it down anymore, it's service. So you have to enjoy serving others. That's pretty much it. Now, secondary is the whole being around the, you know, cadavers, dead people, you know, type of thing,
Exactly.
the blood and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
you
So
don't
that-
really think about it. You really don't. It's just, and that's when you know it's your calling.
You don't dream about it, huh?
No.
You know that.
I've heard some people do, but no, no.
So actually, basically, you know, you live your life in victory, right?
Mhm.
You know, that's what whatever you love to do, that's what you do.
Right.
We have. I think I talked to Eric about his long range goals, but maybe it's both of you together. Long range goals. I know you're just getting started, but you have to think about long range. You know.
Long range. I mean, we've had a couple of things on the horizon. The short range is it's a list of things that we're you know trying to accomplish and things. So we've been more short-sighted lately, but those short-sighted short-term goals also help build up the long-term ones. Like I mentioned before about leaving a legacy to my children, meaning I want to leave them a flourishing business, and they can have the option of, do they want to, you know, work day to day, or do they just want to kind of oversee and kind of be,
In the
let's
background.
just say, in the background, or that district manager, because maybe we now have 2 or 3, you know, growing locations, you know, and it's just not feasible to be at one all day, every day. You want a larger role. But also, I guess you can squeeze in there early retirement.
Yes, that sounds great.
So that's definitely a goal, but that once again, one day at a time, and it takes a lot of hard work, perseverance, and just continue to do what we're doing.
How has the social media affected the mortuary science business?
This is our social media guru right here.
Just getting information out there, just like anything else. Like you were saying with technology, people are on the computer all day.
Amazing.
So it's important to have a social media presence. Very important.
And, you know, we'll post obituaries.
Yes.
You know, sometimes people get their news from social media, Facebook, Twitter, different things like that. So you know, they're not doing as much posting, I shouldn't say posting, but putting obituary ads in the newspaper anymore.
Right.
It's more so posting them online. So
I was going to mention, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I had that in mind to ask about, we don't find many newspaper coverages of death notices as we used to.
And if you do, they're the older,
Right,
you know, your
exactly.
70s, 80s,
Yes,
90s type
exactly.
thing. Or if this someone of, I don't know, I don't want to say celebrity status, but, you know, someone a little more well-known in the community.
Yeah.
and things.
Yeah, I think we just recently had a teacher. So it's every once in a while we will get a family that will seek out a newspaper and post it.
So, but we plan to, we just started actually recently with the social media push. But, you know, as far as posting obituaries, that's what we'll be doing. Community, company news and events. Also a little humor in there, you know, we don't keep it all business, but also encouraging words and prayers and different things. So just kind of like everything else, keep it well-rounded. I don't want them just obituary, 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 and there's nothing
Right.
else but
Okay,
that, you
very
know.
good.
Little words of comfort to help through the grieving process also. So.
Do you have many speaking engagements? Look like you both of you, schools, you know, talk with youngsters, colleges, junior colleges, or what have you.
The last
So
one,
Eric and I.
yeah, I did one. I was out in Inglewood at Jones Prep, Inglewood neighborhood in Chicago on the south side. They had how many guys came out? I want to say it might have been 100 students. I don't remember how many mentor type gentlemen were out there, but it was like a luncheon set up, and 7 to 8 students per table, about 3 or 4 mentors per table. And we were, you know, small talking things, and then we broke up and went into separate classrooms, each table, and just kind of answered all the young men's questions, whether it had been about life, business, job, sports, whatever was on their mind. But mainly what we talked about was their concerns and what to expect in life being a black male when the odds are against you, and their mind state in order to be successful, you know. And I like to think I personally reached at least one, but you know, you never know who you reach at any given time, from no matter what you're doing. But it was definitely a great experience for myself, and I would love to do it again next year.
Have either one of you thought about the political arena? You know, how would being involved in politics affect you?
I hadn't thought about it.
I mean, I can't think about wearing another hat right now. Yeah, I definitely have not thought about it.
I would like our relationship with some of the local politicians, we would like to grow those relationships.
Okay, that's
Yes.
mainly-
And, you know, that's actually one thing that we had been discussing. I hadn't reached out to Sam Cunningham yet, but it's on
But it's
my
on the
to-do
to-do
list.
list. He is.
I want to be able to team up with them and hit up the same community events, and you know, just kind of partner with them and get out there into the community more also.
You
but-
mentioned about Sam Cunningham, but he's at every event.
Exactly.
Every
Exactly.
event.
So my thing is, I know I wouldn't be able to keep up with him at every event, but if I did like a 10th of what he does, that would make me happy. And like I said, I'm sure we would reach someone.
Yes.
But he's well, let's see now. He's a public relations person, right? Naturally, being the mayor. But I guess you're not quite that public relations type. That
Not
way.
quite.
You know, word of mouth is your biggest asset, then, right?
Right. So as we grow the business, I plan for us to transition more into that public relation role. Right now, we're growing a business and implementing different plans and looking for new people as we grow to kind of step in and take some off our plate so we can add something else on, like the public relations. So that's the thing, just kind of switching the roles a little bit as we grow. Then obviously we'll be able to get out there a little more. So that's That's really our motive.
I want to get to the
incentive.
specific role of Jolene here. You, Eric, you with the hands-on, or you administrator too, or what?
Some of everything. Some of everything.
all of the above.
Right.
And I want to get to Jolene's. And you all of the above too? No, you're not all of the above
Right.
because you're
Outside of embalming and
Yeah,
the funeral director duties, but as far as managing day to day, as far as answering the phone calls and making sure that he's where he needs to be, as far as picking up someone's loved one, or if he has a meeting with a family, and then following up with families and things of that sort. So I'm which I love, I get to talk to all the families. You know, after the arrangements are done, it's me is usually the contact,
Okay.
where I have that relationship, and then like when it's all said and done, for them to give me a hug and say thank you so much. It's like that is why we do what we do. So I love the fact that I get to communicate with new people, new families all the time. And it's really about just building relationships outside of, of course it's a really hard situation, but for us to be able to lighten that burden means a lot to us.
And then also, she does a phenomenal job on the hair and makeup.
Yes,
so.
I do. I do the cosmetics. I do.
I used to do it first, but I'm like, wow, you're great. You do that. You know,
Everyone stay in his own lane.
Yes.
So I lost that role. I lost that hat. But, I'm
Right,
proud to
right,
say that she has it, and it's going very good.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too. I was going to mention about people stay in their own lane. This is very important. But maintaining your presence in the 3 states, I guess that comes in.
Right.
In
So.
line with, I guess the media.
Well,
whatever.
really kind of word of mouth for the most part right now.
Still word of mouth.
But most of my work is, along the borders. So
Okay.
the Illinois-Wisconsin border
Yeah.
and the Illinois-Indiana border. But we've gone as far as,
Yes.
we'll go 3, 4, 5 hours into either state. So it just kind of depends on my schedule and the other funeral home or whoever their need, their budget, that type of thing. Because sometimes it may be more cost efficient to have the services where the person, is at, especially if you have family in that area and things. So it just varies. There's different factors.
So have you thought about expanding location?
And not into those states. I would like to do something closer to the Chicagoland area,
Okay.
in a sense, western suburbs type area. But that's one of those long-term goals.
Okay.
First
Right.
and foremost, we want to take care of Waukegan and the Lake County area. We do still serve some of the Chicagoland families and things, and continue to encourage them to choose us because we'll come to them. We wouldn't dare have them drive all the way to Waukegan to make arrangements or anything like that. We'll do in-home arrangements at that point. And how it works also is the preparations to be done in Waukegan of their loved one if they pass away in Chicago or another area. But they get to choose the church of their choice. Maybe they have a local church or a relationship with one. If not, then I have some in the city that we can have the services at, and everything is local.
Okay, we're near the end of my program, and I really want to thank both of you for your traveling the short distance from your location at Oak Park, was it? To come down here to let Lake County know about your presence. In other words, you may prepare a service in Chicago, but it may be more practical to bring the service down here to Waukegan, right? Depends on the family.
Depends on the
depends
family.
on the
Yeah,
family.
their preference.
Right. Oh, that's. And I mentioned, excuse me, Eric's role model, but I guess you're a role model. I guess he's your role model then,
He
right?
is. He's great.
Oh, thank you.
How about, hey, let's get a little plug in there. That's everything. Okay, so counseling families is really, that's a key there, because you mentioned by word of mouth that those families contacting other families
Exactly.
doing this type of thing, and I mentioned about staffing, but is there the
We have a small staff,
Okay.
so we have a few other part-time contractors that we'll call on
as needed?
as needed,
Yeah,
exactly.
I guess.
And it's a team effort, and I tell families that the same thing. In order for everything to come together successfully, I need them to do their part. We have to do our part, as far as the funeral home. And then there's other moving parts like the doctors and permits that need to be signed and death certificates.
Yeah.
Cemetery has their part. So as long as everyone is working together, it goes smooth. And that's why I encourage them to come together at this time. This isn't the time to fight and bicker and
Right.
be angry at each other from something that happened years ago or whatever. But their loved one should be priority.
I cannot overemphasize. Oh boy, licensed insurance director too. People getting insurance. You may want to put an emphasis on that too. Importance of the families having insurance.
Right.
Good.
And that's what we've been trying to push at the arrangement conference and stuff. People don't realize they can get whole life, permanent life insurance for as low as, was it now, $15?
$15 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And we just encourage them, start somewhere. No one is
Absolutely.
saying get a $100,000, $200,000 policy. If you can't afford it, we're not here to push anything on you. Just start somewhere.
So actually, it's not too costly
No.
No.
to have.
And that's why we try and educate and let people know, spread the word, and have them tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a family member.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, again, we are very excited this evening to have two people that you definitely should know. You're going to know them sometime in your life. So we want to start now. We don't know when you're going to need them, but Mr. Eric Tolar, licensed film director and embalmer for Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin, and his wife Jolene Tolar, managing director of Tolar Westgate and Funeral, and they volunteered the time to come out and share with us the importance of the funeral home business. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.